what IGNOU is doing in specific. May I request? Now I will request Dr. Imran to tell you in detail about HACCP. Dr. Imran, please.
Thank you, Dr. Salooja. HACCP is what? It is a proactive food safety management system. Simple system that delivers food safety by managing the risk of hazard occurring. HACCP plan was developed for the US space program and US Army in the 1960s, and then later on it was standardized by Codex Alimentarius. Now this is the official of Codex Alimentarius, and now it is adopted by most of the governments worldwide. So this is proactive, means it's a safety management system, means it is optional for the industry people, so that they should make a HACCP plan and follow it and implement it. It is a simple system, means it is a need-based system, need-based of a organization. If an organization is want to have a HACCP system, they need to work out a HACCP plan on their own, based on their own requirement. So it is a simple system that delivers food safety by managing the risk of hazard. In 1960s, the NASA was looking for a totally safe food for astronauts on space flights. You can imagine the astronauts going on space flights. They need a food which should be free from all the risk, because they do not have any doctor option there in the space. So they wanted to have a risk-free, zero-defect food. It was the first NASA mission in the year of 1960s onwards. So for that reason, they developed a concept of zero-defect food, and the task was given to Pillsbury Corporation and US Army Laboratory. These two organizations came together with the concept of zero defect foods, and they responded by developing a HACCP. So it was the hard work of Pillsbury Corporation and US Army Laboratory which made a HACCP plan, and this gives a zero defect food to all the astronauts from then onwards going to the space mission. The same HACCP concept was followed for other food and other FMCG industries responsible for food products. This HACCP is based on FMEA, failure, mode and effect analysis system. It is the analysis of failure, the possibility of failure, the mode of failure, and its effect of what is the effect of this failure on the system. Looking what could potentially go wrong at each stage in an operation, along with possible cause and likely effects before deploying effective control measures. So these things need to be taken care while planning a HACCP. So this Pillsbury Corporation and US Army Laboratory initially have developed this HACCP plan following these points, whatever I have spoken, like failure, mode and effect analysis, and looking what could be potentially go wrong at each stage in an operation, along with the possible cause. Then later on it was adopted by the Codex Alimentarius, and they have made certain changes and made it more effective time by time. And now this is officially the part of Codex Alimentarius, and there is one international standards like ISO 22000, and then same ISO 22000 was adopted in India, making some corrections, and it's not exactly the correction, it is some incorporation, some changes based on our own requirement. The situation in India is taken care of, and the same ISO 22000 standards was renamed as IS 22000. So coming again to HACCP, what is HACCP? This is prevent microbiological, chemical and physical contamination along the food supply chain. This is to prevent microbiological, chemical and physical contamination. I will come to this contamination part in a subsequent slides. What are the possible microbiological, chemical or physical contaminations are there, and this to be checked along the food supply chain from the origin to the use. Now the identity risk establish CCCP. These are the significant food safety aspects, like identity of the risk. We need to identify which are the risks are there, establish the CCP, that is critical control point, and then setting a control level, and ensures control measures validated, verified and monitored. This is the basic concept of HACCP. Like you need to identify the risk, then establish the CCP, critical control point, and then setting the CL, and then ensure control measures validated, verified and monitored. It means ki not only you are making a system, you need to follow it, and then there should be a system which who is checking the that the system is followed or not, and if there is any deviation, we need to rectify and revalidate the method once again, and again monitor the whole system. Coming to the identity of the risk, say for example, we can take an example of pasteurization of milk in a milk processing unit. Pasteurization is one of the identity of risk. If pasteurization is not proper, then milk cannot be safe. It cannot be stored for a longer duration of time. So then we found out the identity of a risk is a pasteurization of pasteurization procedure in a milk processing unit. Then we need, this is the critical control point needs to be established here. This the critical control point is in the case of pasteurization is temperature and time. There is a temperature and particular temperature and time requirement to pasteurize the milk. So this is the critical control point. Now this is temperature and time. So we need to establish that there is a system that the temperature and time requirements should be followed, and therefore there should be a system who is checking that whether the system is followed or not. If there is any deviation, we need to check and monitor, re-verified. Why HACCP is needed? HACCP is needed for a good agriculture production, good hospitality, good manufacturing production. For there may be agreement on sanitary and phytosanitary measures, like if there is a bilateral or maybe more countries coming together to have a understanding. So there should be an agreement of sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So each of the part of this agreement should ensure that the particular sanitary and phytosanitary measures is taken place. So for that reason, we need to have a HACCP plan. This HACCP is also needed for preventing foodborne diseases outbreak, for food safety. Then again come to agreement on technical barriers to trade and harmonization with Codex Alimentarius. So if there is a HACCP plan in place, so we can say that the food products coming out from the different source of industry is same. The quality is same because all the part of this agreement is following the same methodology, same plan. So we can assure that the food safety is taken care, and at the same time it can prevent the foodborne diseases outbreak. Before coming further, we should know the concept of food. The food is needed for survival, for hunger satisfaction. This is in a growing order. We need to have food for survival, for hunger satisfaction, to absence of adverse effect on health. We need food for health and maintenance. We need food to promote better health, thus helping to reduce risk of diseases. And we need food for like medicine and food have a common origin. So we need food to have the less medicine requirement. If we are getting good quality of food, there is the very less chance of getting ill. Then we don't need medicine. There are some food categories which are at risk. In nutshell, we can say every food category is at risk, but some of them are on higher side of risk, like meat, raw meat or processed meat. Raw meat is more susceptible as compared to processed meat. Processed meat, if not packaged properly and the packaging material is not used properly, and there is a leaching problem or migration problem of packaging material to the product, it can create a food related risk. So meat, whether it is raw or processed, both are at risk. Fish and seafood, these are very susceptible food categories. Fish and seafoods starts deteriorating very fast. So all these fish and seafoods are at a higher side of risk, and we need to preserve this product as early as possible. It is very essential that the harvesting of the fish and seafood should be in a proper manner, and at the same time the HACCP plant should be in place in the when it comes to the processing of these products. Eggs, of course, eggs are very susceptible to risk. There are cases of salmonella contamination of eggs. If the feed and the housing environment of the chickens or poultry producing eggs is not proper, then the eggs and poultry meats are contaminated with salmonella and some other kind of contaminants like aflatoxins. If feed supply is not proper, then the product can contain the aflatoxins. The product can contain the residual pesticides. Milk and dairy, these are very susceptible food categories, and the shelf life of these products are very less. We need to have the system in place so that we can procure the good quality of product from the market. Fruits and vegetables, of course, these are whatever I am giving example, these are perishable item. So including all this meat, fish, seafood, eggs, poultry and milk and dairy products, fruits and vegetables are also very perishable in nature. So we need to have the system in place so that we can preserve this product and we can pack this product in a proper manner, so that there should not be any chances of contamination either from the origin or during the processing or packaging. Apart from these products, the spices and condiments, nuts and nut products, cereals, bakery and confectionery products, they are also at risk if not processed properly or packaged properly. The production, processing and packaging all is important, and the HACCP plants should be in place for each segment. Like if it is a packaging plant, the HACCP plant should be as per the packaging requirement, and the system should be in a place so that there should not be any chance of contamination. And if this is a production plant, we should have the HACCP plant so that the production should not be altered because of the contamination. The product should not be altered because of the contamination, and there should not be any intermediate contamination while producing a particular product. Or if it is a processing unit, we should ensure that the inputs coming from for the processing should be safe, and the origin of the product should be safe. There should not be any history of contamination, and there should not be any present contaminations available in the product. And at the same time, we need to ensure that while processing of the product, there should not be any intermediate chance of contamination. So the plan should be based on the at present requirement of a particular unit. The major risk factors. This is I have compiled based on the food nature. The nature of food is most of the time is very perishable. In some cases, if it is even if it is not perishable, if moisture content increases, it can become a chance of contamination. The major risk factors are like improper holding temperature. the holding temperature is, if not proper, then the food can hold a chance of contamination. Preparing food ahead of plant schedule. The plan should be in order, so that the food should be prepared in a particular plan and should be packed and should be processed immediately. Poor personal hygiene. The persons working in a particular unit, maybe it may be a production unit, it may be a processing unit, it may be a packaging unit, or it is a supply chain unit. The persons should know the hygiene requirements, and they should be very high on that requirements. The personal hygiene should not be altered. We should take care on a very priority basis. Inadequate cooking. Some of the cases, I will give you some examples where inadequate cooking can create a problem of food safety. So if cooking is not proper, it can also create a problem. Inadequate cleaning and disinfecting of the equipments. All the food processing units require certain types of equipments, machineries. The cleaning and disinfection of these equipments and machineries are very important. We need to have a plan, so that we should clean the instruments or equipments on a regular basis, on a very timely basis. There should not be any chance of contamination from the this equipments or instrumentations. Cross contaminations means the movement of the people or the material inside the unit should be one directional. There should not be any cross contamination of the product which is going for waste should not be mixed with the product which is coming for the processing. In some of the cases, it is found that the use of leftover can create a problem. We should not use the leftover in any terms. Most of the leftovers can be contaminated with certain source of contaminations. So this should be restricted. Contaminated raw material. It can be a raw material of a unit, or it can be water supply, or it can be any form of additives that can be contaminated and can create a problem of food safety. So while planning all this HACCP plan, we need to take care of all these requirements, and this is I am generalizing the requirements. This is not the mandatory requirement for all the industry. It is the plan should be based on the industry's individual requirement. Industry have to look in what field they are operating. Based on the requirements, they need to make a plan of HACCP and implement. Now this is the source of food contamination. As I said, raw materials and ingredients. Raw materials may be any food raw materials, or any water supply, or it can be an additives, food additives, or any kind of other flavors and fragrance that can be a source of contamination. So we need to have a plan, so that the raw material inputs should be checked properly, and it should be sure that the food safety is taken care of. Water supply is also already I have spoken about the water. Then the atmosphere or environment inside the unit is also important. If any air and dust is coming from outside, it can carry the pathogens and other chemical contaminants and can create a problem of food safety. So wherever we are working, we should check that the environment or atmosphere of the unit should be taken care of. There should not be any air or dust cross contamination from outside. Soil. So for example, if an industry is catering somewhere in agricultural area, so soil is also important. So we need to take care of soil cross contamination. Suppose there are cases where the lead and other heavy metals came to the soil, and then it comes to the crop products and finally to the processed products. So we need to check these kind of cross contamination from nearby industries or from the other source of contaminations. If there is any garbage or sewage operation nearby to the industry, we need to take care of this garbage and sewage cross contamination is not taking place. The one side contamination should not be there in the industry. There are the cases of rodents where these rodents are creating problem of food safety. There are problem of insects There are problems of animals and birds. There are problems of packaging material, like packaging material. If the quality of packaging material is not good, so it can give a bad image of the food safety, and the overall migration and other type of problem will take place, and the product safety and product durability will not be in the market. So while planning all this HACCP for a particular type of industry, we need to take care of all these requirements. At the last but not the least, the food handlers, the man working for a industry, is the most important part. They should be aware of HACCP requirement. They should be aware of the food safety and quality requirement. They should be aware of the contaminations problem. They should be aware of the raw materials, the other inputs, the atmosphere of the input units, and the packaging material, and any other behavioral requirements is also important. Now I will categorize all these food contamination source to in a particular manner, like physical, chemical, and microbiological hazards. Come to the physical hazards in food, like BD, cigarettes, hair, stones, stems and seeds, bone fragments and feathers, matchsticks, jewelry, nails, nuts and bolts, strings, jute, fibers, buttons. All these are source of physical hazards in food. Like the personals working in the unit, they should not use the BD and cigarette in the working area. Otherwise, by accidental or sometime maybe unknowingly, it will come to the contact of food material and can be incorporated along with the food and create a problem of food safety. Same in the case of hair, we should the industry people should use the hair cap. Stones, stems and seeds, it should be the inputs should be checked. The raw materials should be checked for the stones, stems and seeds. There should not be any bone fragments and feathers. Personnel working in the unit, they are using generally some kinds of jewelry. They should avoid using jewelry while working in the unit. There are some invisible chemical hazard in food. There are veterinary residues, non-permissible food additives, excess of permissible food additives, adulterants, cleaning chemicals. These type of chemical hazards can create a problem for food safety. All the inputs like raw materials should be checked for pesticide residues, veterinary residues, cleaning chemicals.
So now I will tell about the biological hazards. Biological hazards will include the hazards which are with the source of the biological, like bacteria, yeast, mold, protozoa. These could be the invisible microbiological hazards. So we have classified the physical, chemical and microbiological hazards. When we say, these are also some of the examples of the biological, particularly bacteria like Salmonella, Staphylococcus, Shigella. These sources can be also sources of the biological contamination which can take place in the food. As we mentioned, that temperature plays the processing plays a very important role into the thing. Like the proper temperature, that is low temperature should be maintained, proper cooking. These are the things which Dr. Imran mentioned. Now we need the temperature of around 75 degrees centigrade for cooking, and reheating is there. The danger zone, what we say, is that where the bacteria should not be able to grow. The temperature should be, as we know, there are certain bacteria which can grow at low temperature. There are mesophilic which can grow at 35 to 40. The thermophilic can grow at the very high temperature. So we should see, depending upon the food quality, what type of food it is there, we should be able to see the proper temperature. But normally once we go higher temperature, we are able to kill most of the microorganisms, but at the risk of the nutritive value we should be taking into the account. Now when you select the temperature, it depends upon the many things. What is the acidity of the food, what is the oxygen level, what is the moisture. So we decide the time temperature combination which is required for killing all the microorganisms is there. So this is the helps us in identifying that what is the hazards and what should be there to control those hazards should be there. Now, in taking into the control point and the other things, some of the other biological hazards, these were the invisible hazards over there, that is associated with the microorganisms, the molds, the yeast, and the temperature time combination acidity is there. But at times we can also find the visible biological hazards, like particularly fly, cockroaches. You must have seen many times when you take a bottle of pouch of milk or other thing, at time fly is there, particularly with the sauces or the ketchup, it is there. So these type of products are the visible biological hazards are there. Then we come to the next so these were the things. Then we sometimes feel that whatever the natural products are there, they are always safe, but it is not the case. There could be good examples like red kidney beans. They may contain the natural toxin products which are present into there. Similarly, we know about soybean, and there contains anti-nutritional factors are there. Trypsin inhibitors is there. These type of products are there. Similarly, when the potatoes, when they are exposed to they contain a poisonous substances called solanine is there. Even mushrooms, people like sometimes mushrooms, but then they can be also toxic is there. So these are the type of the examples of the biological examples, where even we say that the natural foods which we can consider as a safe, they may not be safe because of the natural inherent characteristics of the things is there. Next, then when we come to the HACCP components, then what are the criteria which we should keep into the mind? It's actually depend upon the food, for what is the food and for what purpose it is going to there. One of the important criteria which we should take into account is the foodborne illness. That is, any food should not give the illness to the thing, to the consumer which we are consuming. If you recall, the Dr. Imran mentioned a slide that food for the health, so that food should not give any disease. That should be the criteria is there. When particularly the group which are of higher risk is like children, pregnant women, the senior citizens, because of their metabolism system is not very strong, or with the age it is more chances of getting diseases there. And certain where the individuals with the compromised immune system is there, it's for those people we should take the foodborne illness should be taken into account for the purpose. Now next, when we come to when we decide the critical control points, the other factors which we take into account are the processing parameters and the sources of food poisoning also we should take into account, like what type of is there. These are the principal sources of food poisoning which is there, particularly at the restaurants, at the institution level, and at the gathered function, and the other is there. Normally, if the food is from the unhygienic restaurants or small unorganized sector, the chances of outbreak is more. And one of the reasons where the outbreak takes place, like Dr. Imran mentioned, that is the use of leftover, because in the restaurants and all those commercial places, the leftovers are again used, and then the processing temperatures are not taken care, because at the he mentioned that the food is prepared beforehand, that is before the scheduled activity. At times when the consumers come to the hotel, they are in the quick service or the consumers are more, so that also brings the outbreak. So these are the two possible reasons, that the food has been cooked in very quickly, and the other thing is leftovers have been used into. That's why when you see this the outbreak of in the restaurants, in the hotel, it is there. And in the slide where Dr. Imran showed that where the food is freshly prepared and it is consumed, the chances of outbreak is less is there. So when we decide the thing, we also take into account what is the level of earlier outbreaks which have taken into account. Now these are the after coming to this, we come to the 7 principles of HACCP. So these were we have given you the basic information about that is the basic principle of HACCP is to control the hazards. Then different type of hazards have been covered into account. Then how do we identify the critical control points? The level of food poisoning we have given you, that is the type of examples which is the past history which gives you. Now we come to the 7 principles of HACCP. The first is that we conduct the hazard analysis. The second is we determine the critical control points into the account. Then we come to for each we establish the critical limit, that what is the critical limit is there. The fourth principle is that we establish a system to monitor, to control the CCP, that how we will going to control that particularly control point is there. The next is to establish the corrective action to be taken when monitoring indicates that particular CCP is not under control. So we have to establish that point also. We have to establish the documentation for all the procedure records appropriate to this principle, and their application is the 6th principle is there. And last is to establish the procedures for verification to confirm that the HAP system is working or not. So these are the 7 principles of HACCP into the account is in there. Next, what are the benefits? You will be asking, what are the benefits of the HACCP system is there. The benefits, it includes, like it will enhance the food safety and reduces the risk of the foodborne diseases. Like this is the basic purpose we mentioned, that whatever food we take, it should be wholesome, it should be healthy, and that is the minimum expectation, that is there should be no foodborne disease associated with this. It provides the consumer the confidence, like when we go for any ISI, ISO mark or PFA or egg mark. Similarly, when it says that a company has the HACCP, or nowadays when we say ISO or ISC 22000, which includes the HACCP, is that the system has been taken into account, the processing unit has taken into the account that the complete production part has taken, there is a zero defect, or that's what Dr. Imran mentioned when the basic concept of the HACCP came into account, that there is a zero defect is there, that there is a zero hazards are there, and even if there are hazards are there, the system has been placed into the account that there is no those type of hazards will not be existing, and food will be safe for the part. Then it also gives the benefit to the producers, because the production cost will come high into it will reduce the production cost, because the wastage will be minimum, the cost which they can save from the returns of the products. At times there is a word which we used as recall. The products are recalled from the market when the products are not safe for the human consumption, and this trend, this system has become is becoming very important, particularly with the new act and particularly with the exports of the different type of the product system. It also ensures that there is a compliance with the statutory requirements. As we mentioned that now with the if any company wants to take ISO 22000, or even for our food product if we are taking ISA mark, so this will ensure that you are meeting the statutory requirements, and it gives a confidence to the consumers, to the producers, to the exporters, and to the retailers, whichever it is there. So these are the some of the benefits, and it is also reduces the hazards which could be identified or which could be reduces there, and overall it is a win-win situation for all, for the consumers, for the producers, for the quality control people, that these are the advantages of the HACCP benefits are there. Now who requires that? As we are mentioning, it is for the win-win position for the all. It is required for the industry, those who are involved, particularly with the animal products, because if you recall, Dr. Imran mentioned the residual pesticide shall be more in the animal products, particularly like with the low acid canned foods, seafood, milk and dairy products, meat and meat products, fish and fishery products, egg and poultry, fruits and vegetables. These are the products, these are the industries which we need. The industry, particularly bakery and confectionery, hotels, restaurants, fast food operation. So wherever we are dealing with the fresh food and wherever the consumers are involved, HACCP system should be there. The first is basically where the like microbiological the growth of microorganisms, particularly spores, or those things can grow. These are the industries, starting from the milk to the meat, fish, Dr. Imran mentioned. Then particularly with the hotels, restaurant, these are the places which we need the is there. Now along with the HACCP, there are certain standards which are the global standards, which we call them the BRC stand is there. They issue a maintain a well planned HACCP based on the codex principles are there. These are the some type of advanced standards are there global, particularly with the associated with the retail part it is there. Similarly is the IFS requirement is also there, which is a new type of is the version which has come into the picture. So this is the is there. Now these are some of the countries where they have given the auditing standards for the HACCP is for the HACCP the standards. These are the auditing standards where you can check up that whether HACCP system is in operation and how do we audit the HACCP unit. So these are the some of the auditing standards have been prepared by the under the HACCP. Now in our country, particularly with the ISO, which is the international standard, ISO 22000 is there. It's based on the Kodak principles of HACCP, and it is also based on the ISO 9001. So ISO 22000 is based on the 9001 plus the Codex principles of HACCP is there. So the food processing industry or hotel or these things, they can go for the ISO 22000 system, which will cover into the HACCP. So in today we have covered the basic concepts of the HACCP, that is, and in our country the as we know, the voluntary standards, ISI is one of the is the thing which gives the Bureau of Indian Standards is one of the voluntary standards. They have the two standards are there. They have HACCP standalone certification as per the IS 15000. That was only the 19998 basis there. Similarly, they have also the HACCP system based quality system certification based on 9,000 and 15,000. But then if we have the 22,000 into the count, that will take care of the both the things, that is 9,001 and the HACCP principle. So this is the objective of this session was to introduce you to the basic principles of the HACCP. You may be aware about the HACCP, but then this will give you the basic information about the thoughts. You can think it over, and the next time we are going to cover these HACCP principles, how we are going to implement it, and how in a food company how these are implemented. It is there. So these are the basic principles of the HACCP, and we have covered today. And in the subsequent, next, when we are scheduling the lecture on the 14th, we will be covering its implementation part into the detail. Thank you very much.